So I just wanted to pull this up on my iPad here so I could see comments, and then I can also see what we're all looking at here. Sorry, there's a little dark spot there on the camera because I have it sitting just up on a tripod thing. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this. I had a lot of questions from the live stream that I did the other day. So I really wanted to go over this setup because I want you guys to all understand, one, what goes into it, and two, how to hook it all up if you're confused. So I'm just going to go kind of over what does what first. So the way that it works is you have your router. So your internet comes into your router, or your internet may be with your router, depending on your setup. So it comes in, and then rather than running wireless on this, you'll run a cable out of one of these 4 ports here. So those 4 ports are output. Most of you guys know this already. But from there, so you'll have a cable, you have a cable running like this. And then this piece right here, this is called an injector. This one is a TP-Link TL-PoE 160S as in Sam. It's a PoE injector, and it will take the data signal from your router and turn it into a power and data signal. So that will sit right next to your router, and you can even use a little short cable like this. And then from that, you'll run your cable out of that. It'll go out of whatever facility you have it in, whether it be your basement, your garage. My case is the garage. It'll come out of this and along Cat 5, Cat 6 cable. Mine's running off Cat 6. That's what they say should, Cat 5e or Cat 6 are better. So from there, it runs up the pole, say, in an Ethernet cable like so. So we have, this is connected to data in, which is connected to your router. And then this is connected to the data PoE out. This will run up to your box, which I have an injector. So then this plugs into the bottom of this. I'm not going to plug it in all the way because it's a pain to get out. So this plugs into the injector. And then from here, we're going to run it into a splitter. Now, the power that this runs is somewhere between 47 and 52 volts. I think that's the range. The reason that they do that is you can run higher voltage to get power across, and the power to amp rating is more easily transmitted through small strand wire with higher voltage, less amperage. So the reason for this is to take that high voltage and transpose that high voltage into a usable power source for a miner or something else. So you can buy 12 volt ones, you can buy 24 volt. This is 5 volt, and it actually comes with a nice little connector. It's just a barrel connector. I do believe that's a 2.5. It could be a 2.1. I didn't hit it with the caliper, so I do not know. But that just plugs in to there, and then that plugs into the miner. Your Ethernet cable that has run from your injector goes into the input of the PoE splitter. So you have power and Ethernet running through this, up through your injector, or in through your this Ethernet gland here, and then it runs into the splitter. The splitter then takes that data and power and separates it. So then you have 5 volt output with this USB connector, and you have your Ethernet data within this cable. I made this cable. You can make your own. You can buy little shorties like this. or however you want. I'm going to slip this out of here so I can give you the model number of it. This is a UC Tronics Gigabit PoE Splitter. The reason that I went with this, they make the little inline ones. The reason that I went with this is it has a DC 5 volt 4 amp max output. So the 4 amp was important to me because I knew that these miners run 3 amp input on the original power supply. So I just wanted to be sure that I was minimally providing it with what the original power supply asks for. So I'm just stick this back in here, and then let's discuss from there. It goes out of the data connector, and then you're going to plug this obviously into the USB-C port, and then you'll plug your data into the Ethernet port on the side of the miner. You can see I've done some modifications to mine, so yours may look different than this. But then you'll run your antenna, which mine comes through the PoE, through the box, and just connects right down inside of here. So that's kind of how it all works. And then obviously your antenna, you run up your antenna, and it is there, mounted. You can put any antenna on this. This is not a specific setup. This is just to kind of show you how power over Ethernet works, because I had a lot of people ask, how does that all hook up? So the next thing we'll discuss is how I'm mounting all of this. So I'm using the factory screws, and they are M2.5, little teeny tiny things, and they look like they're maybe 10 millimeter long. So you can mount through this grate. This box came from Amazon, and I just drilled the holes through it with a step bit, and then ran my glands through. I am going to make a shrunken down version in a box about this big, mainly because I just like to make things compact and clean. So I'm actually going to make one out of a box that's smaller than this. And so I wanted to talk about mounting this. Now, we talked about this versus this, and realistically, this isn't a IP67 box. So this is just kind of screwed together. There's no seal or anything like that. So really, you're not getting any benefits from that. While it doesn't matter. Temperature, all of that it's metal, so it's going to transfer through all of the other metal and wind up being the same temperature inside if you had it on or off. I had it on before, and it had a good grip on it, but I couldn't quite get my antenna connector on, and that's why I put it back on. For resetting this up, I'm actually going to leave this off, mainly because I want it to be attached a bit more securely, and again, because it really doesn't do anything aside from protect it from dust. So I'm going to remove that and put it on here like so. And that gives the screws a little bit more to bite into. What you can do if you don't want to do it that way, and you want to use it the way that it came, this, two things. You can either get longer screws, or you can kind of sink them down in, I just took a screwdriver and kind of like wedged it down in there, and that allows the screw to just kind of countersink in a little bit. So if you go too far, you can always move it over a square or whatever the case may be. But I like compact, clean looking setups, and so that's why I kind of tried to configure it the way that it did. So I'm going to throw that on real quick, and that way we can get to the rest of this build out, and that way I can show you what the end result looks like. So I have just one zip tie on this PoE. I don't think it's a big deal. So we'll flip this dude over, line up my holes. Did I have it there? Or did I have it there? We're going to put it down on those lower ones because I now have the case off. Alright, so these screws, this is, I believe, a number 1 Phillips. Don't strip your screws. Oh, I missed. Let's get over top of things here. I'm a professional. All right, there we go. Got her lined up in there. I think, nope, missed it again. This zip tie is kind of pushing it out of the way. There we go. Get a couple of hands on it. Yeah, once you get that in there, then you can go around, stick the rest of the screws in to your spot. It didn't line up perfectly, so even if you are doing it this way, you'll want to kind of ream out the holes just a little bit, because the pattern of the holes, while they're really close here, they aren't exact. So you need just a teeny tiny bit of play in order to get them to sink down into the pre-tapped holes. So let's just tighten this down. In the way. Something is in the way. See, that's a stupid mistake right there. Get your other wires out of the way before you go tightening things down. Can I get that out? Nah, I'm just going to need to take the whole thing off. So I wondered why it was bowing, and I accidentally pinched the USB-C wire in there. Hopefully that's all right. All right, let's see if I can get it out there now. All right, we are free. Rookie mistake. I'm a professional. See what I did there? All right, back to what we were doing before. And that is now missing the holes. I'm a professional. There we go. I found it. It's probably painful watching me do this. All right, let's get her all screwed down here. We can move on. This thing came off Amazon. I've seen people put these in those giant ones, and I just like this compact size of this. I did have a question the other day about the Bluetooth button. Now, it's really hard to access the Bluetooth button, and while that is a problem, it's not a problem, because if you power cycle it, the Bluetooth will come on. So if you need to do that, but there's a little thing, it's called the SwitchBot, and it's just a little Wi-Fi controlled thing that does this. So I might put one of those in there so I can hit the Bluetooth button anytime I want to, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm just going to run this along here and stuff it behind this zip tie. There is a small space that I kind of meant to do when I put the zip tie in. There it goes. And that way I can flip this guy around and make it look all pretty fancy. So then PoE out goes in there. I just kind of push the cable down like that. I wish that I had made it just a touch smaller. And then of course this is my new antenna, that's my old antenna. I do have a cap for that I'm going to put in it. So we have deleted this. I'm scared, but not. So one thing that I have had a lot of people question is, what about the temperature during the winter? So I hit up Minted and I asked them on direct message, and they responded and told me that the operating temperature is between, what'd they say, 14 degrees and 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So for your Celsius people out there, that's what, negative 10 or something like that. I don't even know. But it's cold. Now, it does get colder than that here, but not very often. So I was thinking there's probably some way to integrate a 5 or 12 volt heating element just under the backside of this or something, somewhere in there to keep it, 32 degrees or whatever. I'm going to research that, but yeah, something to think about if you are in the Midwest and you're worried about temps. Because I'm kind of worried about it, but not really. So from here, since I've got this in, I loosened this this connector up. This is just a standard gland. I loosened that up so I can get to it to attach this to where I'm not twisting this around. I don't want that to move because it moves the connector on the inside, right? So I'm just going to slide this in here and get it into place. And then I'm just going to screw this in. And I will show you the mount that I made for this as well, because the mount that it came with is, it kind of sucks. The mounting option, I guess, that it came with kind of sucks. Alright, put this in here. I'm not going to tighten these down all the way quite yet. I'll just leave everything loose until it's time to button it all up. Now, you want to be real careful not to pull the inside of that cable there. Okay, so the key here is to twist this, not this, right? So I got to kind of figure out the smoothest way for it to go in there is going to be, kind of like hold it loose and allow it to twist itself, and then connect it and hold it still and twist the opposite end. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to snag it with these handy dandy adjustable crap wrench that I probably got from, I don't know, the dollar store or something. And I'm just going to tighten it tight. Doesn't have to be super tight. Now mine, I have this kind of set up to where the gland squeezes on the crimp. So the crimp is much larger. So that goes right in, and then I do it about right there. So you can see just barely any of the SMA connector here. And I do that because it creates the best lock on this, and it actually keeps it from wiggling. So just slide that on, get it in place, and then if you don't know anything about these, as you tighten them, they squeeze these teeth-like thing, and they squeeze on a rubber grommet, and then that's supposed to seal it. You definitely want to tape this stuff up if you're in a super wet environment. I'm just going to keep an eye on my connector here and make sure that while I'm twisting this in, that it is not twisting on my connector. And we are all the way in there, and you can see that whole gland moves when I wiggle it. So that's kind of what I was after. I just wanted this to hold everything taut. And then the last step is just to plug in that Ethernet. If I can get it. There it is. All right. So from there, I would install a lightning arrestor. I'm still waiting on that to arrive. And then obviously this gives you a nice IP67 watertight seal. A lot of commenters have said it's a good idea to still tape this up. I did snag myself some of that fancy tape. I think it's called coax tape or something like that. So if you are building one of these, make sure that you get some of that, just to kind of seal up these glands. So as far as the mounting stitch for this, it just comes with these two little things. I don't know what they expect you to do with that unless you're mounting it against, you know, some wood. I opted to weld together this eye bracket. So it just looks like an eye, and then two pipe clamps go around it. I set these down first, and then set the I-beam onto it, and then I just sloppy welded them with my flux welder, and that created this. I tell everybody, if you're gonna drill into metal, don't use bits. Go out and buy yourself a step bit, because that's what they're made for, is metal. So that's what I did for my frame. And then the H antenna, it actually comes with this mounting bracket. And I plan on putting a lightning arrestor right here in between there. I ensured that I would be able to still bend it around the box. So this is what my PoE setup looks like. I could probably, with an elbow, bring this down and make it a little more compact. It really did move in the wind the other day. We had about 20 mile-an-hour winds, and I had it up really high on my mast. And I think it was probably 18 or so feet above, you know, the last support, and it was going nuts. I actually went up and took a couple of lengths out of it. So yeah, I hope this helps to better explain. I went live the other day as I hooked it up, but you know, just to give you an idea of the setup, I did do a modification for my cabling just to minimize any kind of loss. This is RG178. The other stuff that comes in it, I'm not sure what it is, but I just assume that is a bit better of a situation than that thin black wire that came with it. So you can snag these in any fashion, RP, SMA or SMA, and yeah, this is an 8-inch or I don't know, 20 centimeter, something like that. So I hope this answers anybody's questions, and feel free to ask. Yes, I am going to put an antenna arrestor on. Yes, I'm going to tape all of the connectors up when it finally goes up into its last resting place. So I appreciate you guys tuning into these live videos. I did not see any comments. Did I see any comments? Nope. In such case, do you think that the miner would have problems with moisture? And thanks for sharing. All right, we'll address that moisture question that came through from Christy. The moisture inside the box is a possibility. Yes. How much, I don't know yet. Our temperature fluctuations here can be pretty heavy. So there is a good chance that, yes, there could be problems with that. Here, let me